Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In a world dominated by billion-dollar Marvel and DC blockbusters, it's easy to forget that there are plenty of superhero films that flew under the radar despite having unique perspectives, innovative approaches, or simply bad timing. Today, we're shining a spotlight on 5 underrated superhero movies that didn't get the recognition they deserved upon release, but are absolutely worth revisiting. These aren't necessarily hidden gems. You have probably heard of most of them, but they are films that were either commercially disappointing, critically misunderstood, or simply overshadowed by bigger releases. Each of these movies brings something special to the superhero genre, whether it's a fresh take on familiar tropes, outstanding performances, or visionary direction that was perhaps ahead of its time. So let's dive in and explore these overlooked superhero stories that deserve a second chance. Kicking off our list at number 5 is 2012's Dredd, starring Karl Urban as the helmet-wearing, law-dispensing Judge Dredd. After the disastrous Sylvester Stallone version in the 90s, this gritty reboot had an uphill battle from the start, and unfortunately, it bombed at the box office despite strong reviews. What makes Dredd special is its lean, focused approach to storytelling. Unlike many superhero films that get bogged down in origin stories or universe building, Dredd drops us right into a day in the life of its protagonist. The setup is refreshingly simple. Dredd and rookie Judge Anderson must fight their way up through a 200-story tower block controlled by drug lord Mama, played with terrifying intensity by Lena Headey. Director Pete Travis and cinematographer Anthony Dodd Mantle created a visually stunning film, particularly in the sequences showing the effects of the drug slow-mo, which creates breathtaking moments of hyper-slow-motion violence that are both beautiful and horrifying. Karl Urban deserves special recognition for his committed performance as Dredd, especially considering he never removes his helmet throughout the entire film, forcing him to convey everything through his mouth and body language. It's a masterclass in physical acting. While Dredd shares some surface similarities with the Indonesian action classic The Raid, which coincidentally came out around the same time with a similar premise, it stands on its own as a tightly crafted, visually inventive action film with a superhero edge. Its failure to find an audience initially has only enhanced its cult status, with fans still campaigning for a sequel more than a decade later. If you're tired of bloodless PG-13 superhero adventures and want something with more grit, style, and unapologetic R-rated action, Dredd absolutely deserves your attention. At number 4 is Joe Johnston's The Rocketeer, a 1991 period superhero film that captured the spirit of 1930s pulp adventures but failed to ignite the box office. Set in 1938 Los Angeles, The Rocketeer follows stunt pilot Cliff Secord, who discovers a prototype jetpack that transforms him into the high-flying hero. With its Art Deco aesthetics, swashbuckling action, and earnest heroism, the film feels like a love letter to the early days of comic books and serial adventures. What makes The Rocketeer special is its unabashed sincerity and period authenticity. In an era when Batman had just gone dark with Tim Burton's films, The Rocketeer embraced old-fashioned heroism without irony. Billy Campbell brings an aw-shucks charm to Cliff, while Jennifer Connelly is the perfect period starlet as his girlfriend Jenny. Add in Timothy Dalton as an Errol Flynn-inspired villain secretly working for the Nazis, and you have a perfect cocktail of Golden Age Hollywood and superhero adventure. The film's production design and visual effects still hold up remarkably well. The Rocketeer's costume, with its distinctive Art Deco helmet, leather jacket, and jetpack, creates an instantly iconic silhouette. The flying sequences capture the wonder of taking to the skies in a way that feels both thrilling and believable within the film's period setting. While The Rocketeer was a box office disappointment in 1991, its influence can be seen in later period superhero films like Captain America, The First Avenger, also directed by Joe Johnston, and even Iron Man. Its blend of nostalgia, adventure, and heart makes it a perfect palate cleanser from the often darker, more complex superhero films of today. For those who appreciate superhero stories with historical settings and straightforward heroism, The Rocketeer offers a delightful throwback that only gets better with age. Coming in at number 3 is Zack Snyder's Watchmen from 2009, a film that was neither a commercial failure nor critically panned, but has never quite received the recognition it deserves for its ambition and fidelity to supposedly unfilmable source material. Based on Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons' groundbreaking graphic novel, Watchmen deconstructs superhero tropes through an alternate 1985 where costume vigilantes have shaped American history. Nixon is serving his 5th term, and the world stands on the brink of nuclear annihilation. It's a dense, complex story that examines the psychology of vigilantism, the nature of power, and the moral compromises we make in the name of peace. What makes Snyder's adaptation remarkable is its meticulous visual recreation of the graphic novel's iconic moments. From the opening credits sequence, a stunning montage showing how these heroes influenced historical events, to the climactic revelation in Antarctica, Snyder translates the comic's striking imagery to live action with reverent precision. The cast delivers performances that bring these complicated characters to life, particularly Jackie Earle Haley as the uncompromising Rorschach, Patrick Wilson as the impotent has-been Night Owl, and Billy Crudup as the increasingly detached Dr. Manhattan. Each captures the psychological nuance that made the original characters so compelling. While some criticize the film for being too faithful to its source material or for changing elements of the ending, time has been kind to Snyder's adaptation. In an era now dominated by interconnected superhero universes, Watchmen stands as a thoughtful, self-contained exploration of what superheroes would mean in a real-world context. Its gorgeous visuals, unflinching violence, and moral complexity offer a superhero experience unlike any other. For viewers seeking superhero stories with philosophical depth and visual panache, Watchmen remains one of the most ambitious and thought-provoking entries in the genre. Like its source material, this film rewards multiple viewings and deeper analysis. At number 2 is Sam Raimi's Darkman, a 1990 superhero film that preceded his Spider-Man trilogy by over a decade and demonstrated his unique ability to blend comic book sensibilities with horror elements. Before he could get his hands on established superheroes like Batman or The Shadow, Raimi created his own tortured vigilante in Peyton Westlake, a scientist who is horrifically burned, left for dead, and returns with superhuman strength, an unstable psyche, and the ability to create synthetic faces that allow him temporary disguises. What makes Darkman special is how it channels the spirit of Universal monster movies and pulp heroes into something that feels both retro and original. Liam Neeson, in an early leading role, brings surprising emotional depth to Westlake's transformation from brilliant scientist to vengeance-seeking phantom. His performance balances tragedy and menace, creating a hero who's sympathetic even at his most unhinged. Raimi's kinetic direction is on full display with his trademark blend of dynamic camera movements, pitch-black humor, and over-the-top violence. The scene where Darkman dangles a villain from a helicopter while disguised as his victim's criminal associate showcases both the film's inventive premise and Raimi's flair for combining horror with dark comedy. Frances McDormand brings credibility to the love interest role, while Larry Drake creates a memorably sadistic villain in Durant. The practical effects for Darkman's burned face and the synthetic mask technology hold up remarkably well, creating visuals that are both grotesque and captivating. While Darkman has developed a cult following over the years, it deserves wider recognition as both an early superhero film that blazed its own trail and a showcase for Raimi's distinctive style. Its blend of pathos, horror, and heroism makes it a unique entry in the superhero canon that influenced later films while remaining distinctly its own creation. For those who appreciate superhero stories with horror elements and tragic protagonists, Darkman offers a darkly entertaining vision that stands apart from both its contemporaries and today's more formulaic superhero fare. Taking the top spot on our list is M. Night Shyamalan's Unbreakable from 2000, a film that deconstructed superhero mythology years before it became the dominant genre in Hollywood. Released when superhero films were still relatively rare, Unbreakable tells the story of David Dunn, a security guard who realizes he may have superhuman abilities after being the sole survivor of a catastrophic train crash. Guided by comic book art dealer Elijah Price, who suffers from a condition that makes his bones extremely fragile, David begins to question his own limitations and purpose. What makes Unbreakable revolutionary is its grounded, realistic approach to superhero tropes. There are no costumes, no CGI battles, no world-ending threats, just a man slowly discovering his extraordinary potential in a world that feels utterly real. Shyamalan shoots the film with deliberate pacing and muted colors, creating a tone more reminiscent of an art film than a typical superhero movie. Bruce Willis gives one of his most nuanced performances as David, portraying a man who's been sleepwalking through life, suddenly awakening to his true nature. Samuel L. Jackson is equally compelling as Elijah, whose obsession with finding his opposite number drives the narrative toward its shocking conclusion. Their relationship forms the emotional and philosophical core of the film, exploring the symbiotic nature of heroes and villains. Unbreakable was ahead of its time in treating comic book mythology with seriousness and depth. Released just as the first X-Men film was launching the modern superhero boom, it offered a meditative alternative to more conventional genre fare. While it performed decently at the box office, its true significance wasn't fully appreciated until years later. With the success of Split and Glass completing Shyamalan's surprise trilogy, Unbreakable deserves recognition as a pioneering work that predicted the cultural examination of superhero myths that would dominate cinema for the next 2 decades. Its patient storytelling, psychological depth, and genuine emotional stakes make it not just an underrated superhero film, but a masterpiece of modern cinema. For viewers seeking a thoughtful, character-driven take on superpowers that prioritizes human drama over spectacle, Unbreakable remains the gold standard, a film that only grows more prescient and powerful with time. These 5 films, Dread, The Rocketeer, Watchmen, Darkman, and Unbreakable, represent different approaches to superhero storytelling that didn't quite get their due when first released. Whether because they were ahead of their time, overshadowed by bigger franchises, or simply misunderstood, each deserves another look from superhero fans and film lovers alike. What these movies share is a willingness to take risks, challenge conventions, and offer unique perspectives on what superhero stories can be. From Dread's lean action and visual innovation to Unbreakable's philosophical depth and restraint, they demonstrate the range and potential of the genre beyond its most mainstream expressions. In an era when superhero films dominate the box office and cultural conversation, revisiting these overlooked gems can offer both a refreshing change of pace and a deeper appreciation for the genre's evolution and possibilities. Which of these films have you seen? Are there other underrated superhero movies you think deserve more recognition? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts. See you next time.